It's very exciting, very exciting. If I say so myself, and I may, it doesn't mean it's correct, but I know I'm excited to be here, as far as you know.
Me too.
And Tony here as well,
Very excited.
and Abe back there. It's Koptv, the King of Prussia channel. We're up and running for another Thursday night. We do this every Thursday night with some exceptions. But at the same time, every Thursday night, 7 till 8. So I'm George Brewstar, that's Tony Seligson. Abe Holtz is back there, trust
Yo,
me.
Abe.
He's there. He's there, you know he's there. And you're here with us, so we're really happy for that. We do this show, it's a show takes place in King of Prussia, you know, it's the weekly meeting place for King of Prussia people. And not just for King of Prussia, it's for the whole area, what we may call Greater King of Prussia. We're talking about Bridgeport also, and Swedeland, and Swedesburg, and Wayne, and Valley Forge, and Gulf Mills. Did I leave anyone out? West Conshohocken, you're in this too. Our signal doesn't quite get over the river. So, you know, you need to, if you're in Conshohocken, it's fine.
Like
you can
me,
watch.
yeah, I'm out of luck.
Well, no, you can just watch on the internet, but if you want to pick up the signal and, you know, beam your antenna at King of Prussia, it's not going, exactly.
It doesn't antenna anymore, come on.
That's why it, you know, it doesn't matter really. So, actually, you're incorrect, Tony. I was reading an article that more and more people are beginning to they're going back to rabbit ears, because with the digital television, you can now get free 50-some channels for free and not have to pay one of the other services, as long as you have internet. For one thing, as long as you have internet, you can get us. So that's all I really care about.
Yep.
Do you really need to get HBO 14 and, you know, a dozen Showtimes and CNN 10? And do you need it? Maybe you do. There's Australian Championship dart throwing on ESPN 4 tonight. Okay. Well,
I just use Netflix. That's all I use.
You've got the Netflix, and you've got the internet connection. You've got your Koptv.
That's all you need.
You don't need anything else. You don't need it, right?
That's right,
You've got your antenna. So if you need to watch the Eagles games, and if you want to watch the 6 o'clock scare on channel whatever, then yeah, you can do that.
6 o'clock scare.
Speaking of the 6 o'clock scare, did you know that the Channel 3 6 o'clock scare, they had a big bloodbath over at Channel 3 this week? Did you hear about this? Yes. Yeah. Well, it's the industry term for a mass firing. And they let
Jim
go
Beck
of,
was let go?
No, he was let go. He's been fired from so many things. My goodness, we need to hire him here just so we can let him go. At Channel 3,
he's available.
At Channel 3, they let go of the lead anchor, the main meteorologist. Right? They let go of who else did they let go of? They let go of
Jim Gardner,
Beasley Reese, the sports director, who had been there forever. Yeah, they let go of Kathy Orr, Chris May, who had been the anchor for about 10 years, ever since Menti had his problems. Chris May had taken over, so he's gone. And now after 30-some years off and on, Carol Erickson is no longer with this station. Yeah, so big office cleanup.
Was it ratings?
Over at Channel 3 had been in last place. Of the 3 networks, and what makes it even, of the 3 local channels, news, but what makes it even worse, especially, Tony, for the 11 o'clock show, is that CBS as a network has been number 1. So the CBS primetime network had been number 1, which means Channel 3's numbers at 11 with that lead-in should really be up there, and it has not happened. Now everyone knows Channel 6 is always going to be number 1, so this is really the battle for a close second, and it has not gone to Channel 3, which I don't understand, because I don't know anyone who watches Channel 10 anymore, or NBC for that matter. But yeah, so they weren't getting it done. A new general manager came in, and he's cleaning house, and he has done what I have been saying that station should have been. I've been saying for years, at least 10 years now, I've been saying that I don't understand why Yuki Washington has not been made the lead anchor at 6 and 11 for news, not for sports, but for news. I've been saying this for years, so finally it's happened. So congratulations, Yuki Washington. It only took 10, 15 years of me telling everyone.
Ranting and raving, and
maybe that's why it didn't happen. Maybe it took this long. You know, maybe they said, well, you have Brewstars out there in King of Prussia saying we should do this. Maybe we shouldn't. Who who knows? So Yuki Washington, now the your lead anchor of the 6 and 11 news on Eyewitness News on Channel 3. Now, if only the newscast would stop. I don't know, because I don't watch local TV news. But
I don't
if they
either.
would stop leading with nonsense like weather. It's hot in July, you know, junk like that, and you know, maybe knock the bias down and you know, a couple hundred notches. Maybe I'll start watching again. So, because I would certainly like to watch Yuki. I like Yuki. He's a great broadcaster, and he's been in this town for on the air on Channel 3 for 31 years, I think.
Wow, long time.
So he's a Philly favorite, a great anchor. I think it was a great choice, absolutely great choice. I've been saying this for years. So someone finally listened to me. So,
Yay, bravo.
There you go. Now, if only we could make some big sweeping changes here at this channel.
That would be
You know, we could maybe let go of ourselves.
House cleaning.
Big house cleaning. You know, get a new news director in here and a new maybe someone who would update our website. Oh, okay. So it's the show about King of Prussia and other things, right?
And Astera video.
And Astera video. That's where we're at right now. Did you know that?
That's right, baby.
Did you know that? We're inside the world headquarters, because there are numerous satellite offices.
Well, Abe runs the Philadelphia office, you know.
Right.
Abe has the Philadelphia office in, what would you say, the Mount Airy section of the city. We've got a nice satellite office for our.
Northwest Park East.
Right, for those of you who can't make it out to this location, you can see us in Mount Airy. You could see us where else? The Ocean City, Maryland. We're opening up a bureau.
That's right. In Dubai, we have an office in Dubai. In the Philippines, you know.
We've got the Dubai bureau.
Yep, that's
Right, and the Ocean City, Maryland one.
Baltimore.
Tony considers it. It's the back bar at Secrets. That is the.
That's correct. Yes, that is
any of you who are familiar with the Ocean City, Maryland Metro.
great bar.
That's where Tony will be.
Great memories.
this summer.
Lots of fun. George will be there too.
Tony is still 22 years old.
That's right, baby.
Up here.
Up
right?
here.
Right. So, you know, there's something to be said for having the courage to go out and be that, dare I say, that old guy who we used to look at 20 years ago and say, don't let that be us. And then, you know, there's something to be said, because it takes an enormous amount of courage
That's right.
to pull that off and not look well, let's not go too far.
I don't care what people think of. I don't care what people think of.
You know, there is
I don't
really
care.
something to be said for
I don't
that.
care. It doesn't bother me.
There is so much to be said for that, because, you know, I spent the majority of my life, Abe, did you know this, caring what other people thought. And I really need to go more with the Tony Seligson philosophy of bleep it.
Bleep.
It is what it is.
Yep.
I'm going to enjoy
cares?
life. Life is very short. I know that, right? And I think mine's probably 3/4 over, so life is short.
Don't say that,
Let's
Nick.
you know, let's just enjoy. What is it? Carpet the DM or whatever that. What is that?
diem.
That's
Carpe
what it
diem.
is. I knew it
Seize
was-
the moment.
Yeah, there you go.
the day.
What's that?
Seize the day.
Latin? There you go.
I think it's Buddhist.
Okay, well, I didn't do very well in Latin. The language of Buddhist? Oh my goodness! Already the show is on that
Misinformation.
trajectory.
And I went to college, by the way. So
Yeah, what-
Yeah, he graduated college.
yeah.
What is that's quite it's quite a
But
commentary.
George took all my courses, and so did Abe. So you know.
Yeah, but he actually passed them.
like,
Who are these teachers?
Obviously overpaid, Abe.
yeah, that's correct.
Very liberal.
It is a show that talks about things involving King of Prussia. So I know, just like last week, you tuned in last week. It was a good show. If I say so myself, it was a good show.
Excellent
But
show.
We talked about Gilligan's Island and lots of other King of Prussia related things. So tonight,
And church matters.
well, let's
let's not go
get
there.
some token information
Okay.
out there, just so that a potential sponsor who's watching the demo reel, you know, the sales kit that's going out to every business in King of Prussia, right?
Every church in King of Prussia.
They're going to see the demo reel, and they don't want to hear about Gilligan's. Maybe they do, but we've got to show that we talk about Gulf Mills. So this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to try to find something to talk about with regard to every community in the KOP TV viewing area. Do you think we can do this?
Yes, we can pull it
1
off.
hour.
Let's start. Where shall we start? We're going to end in King of Prussia because that's too easy.
Let's start in Gulf Mills.
Let's start in Gulf Mills and I guess we'll do a circle around the area and then we'll end up inside. So Gulf Mills, what is there to talk about Gulf Mills?
Well,
A
R.S.
hanging rock?
McDougal was funeral was there.
Well, that's
Mac
true.
was there.
But that happened almost 10 years ago,
Yeah,
though.
something
Okay.
else current.
That's what's more. Well, I just said the Hanging Rock. That's been there more than 10 years. What could we
I was
talk
stuck in a
about?
traffic accident earlier today.
Really?
On Henry, you
On
know.
320?
Yep.
Well, there you go. So hey,
Was it this time, or was it a different situation?
Different situation.
Different, okay.
Yep.
so there you go then. Hey, how about that traffic accident this morning on 320? There. Now
It
we've
was
talked
awful.
about Gulf Mills. Now we're going to move on to West Conshohocken. Okay. What is there to talk about West Conshohocken tonight?
Did you cause another traffic accident?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Oh no.
I was drinking at Pagadaways last night.
That is so funny because I was just about to mention that bar, but I guess there's really not too much to
Cunningham.
talk about.
So-
There's not too much to talk about
Yeah,
with regard
so-
to West
Old
Conshohocken.
Cunningham's?
Yeah, the old Cunninghams.
Well, I was just about to say the Sixers have made some big moves, and it's really the only time we would ever talk about the Sixers because the 76ers have fallen into where the Phillies are now headed, and that is even worse. The Sixers, and soon to be the Phillies, perhaps already the Phillies, are in a worse place than fan anger. See, you would think that, well, there's nothing worse than having your loyal fans hating your guts and calling sports talk radio, hating you and ripping management. No, no,
Threatening
no.
to kill you and-
No. There is something worse than that, and that is apathy. That's when people just don't give a darn anymore. And that's where we've been with the Sixers for a decade. And that's where we're headed with the Phillies, unless this new general manager can turn things around.
President.
President. Well, we're hoping there will be a new general manager. So
I read somewhere that the Phillies have lost more teams in baseball than any other team in all the major league.
they've lost more games.
Well, I'm sorry, yeah, more games.
Well, and that's true. A few years back, remember the 10,000th loss? That was a big
Right.
deal. They were the first professional franchise of any sport to have lost 10,000
games.
games.
Their history.
But that is a deceptive statistic, though. Do you know why? Because the Phillies have been around as an organization since 1883. So the longer your organization has been around, just by sheer numbers,
Right.
you're going to have more losses than, say, the Florida Marlins or the
York
Colorado
Yankees.
Rockies or even the Yankees, which have been around only since 1901. So, the Yankees, we forget though, the Yankees had some pretty lousy years though.
in the 80s, they did.
70s, and yeah. I mean, how many times was Billy Martin fired?
4.
4? I thought it was 5. Was it 4? It was a lot.
At least 4.
It was at least 4. Yeah. So you've got that. So just because a team has had, for example, in the NFL, there's no team that has lost more games than the Cardinals. And it's easy to understand that because we think the Phoenix or Arizona
Louis Cardinals.
have had lousy years until recently. But exactly, you had the lean years in St. Louis, and before that, very lean years in Chicago for half a century. So the Cardinals were always the other Chicago team back then. So there's something that remains to be said for having a lot of losses. It's a deceptive stat. But getting back to West Conshohocken, that's why I was going to say the Sixers tie in. Billy Cunningham's court now is what is it?
Pagadaways.
Pagadaway. That's the parking lot is on a 45-degree angle.
Yes.
At that place.
We were hanging outside, and they have a nice veranda and deck where you can, have dinner and drinks, and they had a band that played last year on Halloween, which was a lot of fun.
West Conshohocken is there's a lot. It's a lot bigger than one thinks because when one's driving along 23,
Yep.
when you can drive along 23,
You can.
you would think of West Conshohocken. It's really tiny. And let's face it, it's not very big. But when you go up the hill, it actually is bigger than it.
It has a dimension to it.
It's a lot like Delaware. Once you're in it, it seems a lot bigger than it
true.
does on a map. Yeah. So we've talked about West Conshohocken.
Yep.
Let's take a break from this and talk about other things. But when we come back, it'll be a 14-minute dissertation on what? Gulf Mills? No, we've already done Gulf Mills. How about a 14-minute dissertation on Robertsville? That's right. We'll talk about the area bounded by Croton Road. What else? It's on the other side of that. The other side of that. On the other side of Roberts School. What the hell? Go up the hill. Wood Hill? Not Wood Hill.
McCaig Park is over there.
No, after McCaig Park. Steve Pagnotti just walked. You live back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Fletcher.
Steve.
That's what I was trying to think of. Because Fletcher is the only one that goes all the way through to the Tredyffrin line, right? Right? See? Okay, so now we've talked about Robertsville, so we can get off this now. Yeah. All right, so I did say I would be talking about a few things on tonight's show, a few things that are bothering me. What has been the one thing? Before I get into being mad, let's start on a happier note, and then have the show degrade itself as time goes on. Let's start strong and go down, because I think that is what people expect. A happy note to start off tonight's show. Just moments ago,
wow.
Tony, just moments ago.
Wow, George.
At
Breaking news.
7:04. So right now it's 7:16. This happened at 7:04. So this happened just 12 minutes ago, right?
That's right.
It just came over here on my device here, my
Newswire?
my Newswire, right? That the KOP TV Facebook page has now reached its 400th like.
Oh, wow.
Woo! Now, that is the reason why that's impressive. So my thanks to, I'm going to give her full name to protect her privacy, but our thanks to Michelle for becoming the 400th like to the KOP TV Facebook page. Now, here's why this is important. Because you can look at other pages. Now, in the grand scheme of things, 400 likes, it's not a lot. Okay, it's not a lot. But we have earned every single one of them, Tony. I mean, Tony worked it. He was out there hustling. He worked it. We didn't subscribe to one of these services
And pay money.
where you put in your credit card, and for $39.95 you get 14,000 likes, and they're all fake accounts and all this junk. We have these
old-fashioned
likes.
way.
We do it the old-fashioned way, as if anything with Facebook could be called old-fashioned. But we did it this way. But the thing is, almost all of them are organic. They're from King of Prussia, Bridgeport, Sweetland, Swedesburg, Wayne, Valley Forge. They're from West Conshohocken, Bridgeport. They're from around here. So very important to note that. So our thanks to Michelle and the others who liked the page. All of you who liked the page. Remember, though, you cannot count on seeing us in your feed because we are not quite at pay to play. Did you know that, Tony?
I knew that, yep.
You knew that. We
You
can't
educated
afford
me.
to pay Facebook right now. So, yeah, we give Facebook, Mr. Zuckerberg is hurting for money, so we give him his $8, and then suddenly the people who want KOP TV information might get it. Or we just hold out and it reach 9 people. So it's pick your poison. I've got the simple way around that. You like the page, and just go to the page on a regular basis to see our stuff. Or at koptv.com, the bugs of which have been fixed, and the news will begin to flow again sometime over the weekend, it appears. Also over the weekend, we'll be appearing at Hoyser Park for the annual 4th of July. See, now that we said that, watch there be armed guards now stopping us from showing up.
Flogging ceremony.
No.
We're going to be showing up for the annual fireworks show, and they're doing more than fireworks now. This thing started, about 15 years ago, back at the old township building, and it was a nice little event. And then we had the mishap the one year when the firework went off into the crowd. Forget about that, but I was there when that happened. So I said, okay, we need to move it to a bigger venue. So we moved it to a bigger venue, and like I had anything to do with it. And now it's a really nice, family-friendly atmosphere that it's gotten bigger and bigger. Now there is a carnival right? You've got the
Wow.
carnival now with rides and games and so forth. There's funnel cake, right? Food, things like that.
Sodas and
And
chocolates, cookies.
what's also neat though is if you like this sort of thing, it's really the place to be for all the local politicos. So anyone who's running for anything has to be there, right? And anyone who hosts a stupid talk show has to be there. So we'll be there.
We'll be signing autographs too.
And we don't even charge.
We'll do it for free.
We don't even charge. In fact,
And we'll take photos for free too.
Tony will actually pay you to.
Just show up.
So yeah, I don't know if now by announcing this, if now suddenly we're going to be accosted. But let's hope that it is a wonderful event. It is a free event, and it's a neat thing to have here in town. Let's talk about Gulf Mills and West Conshohocken again, because I didn't realize, I'm looking at my notes, we actually did have some real news to talk about.
Oh, wow.
And is it about Gulf Mills? Is it about West Conshohocken? It's about both. It's about something that is right on the line. Woo! How did we miss this? I'll tell you why. It's because I'm not a good host.
Pay attention, man.
What is the problem here? Now look, I am not a very talented man, okay? When it comes to anything. Tony, now you are a you are a
Landlord, yes.
landlord. You are a property owner.
Yes.
Okay.
You are bald.
You own a variety of dilapidated
Properties,
right? Okay. You have some vacancies, I presume,
Yes.
right? Okay.
I'm going through foreclosures and short sales.
I wasn't even headed there, but if you want to hawk your properties, we can turn this into wouldn't that be something if you were able to move one of your
That would
properties
be
via
great.
this
That would
show?
be very cool.
Turn this into home shopping only, literally home shopping. It's home shopping for a home, you know? Property 117
Going for
is going for
$20,000.
$29,900. This could be your new home.
Your dream house.
You know, where else are you going to get a 5-bedroom home 7 minutes away from King of Prussia
I
for
cherish
the
it.
handsome sum of $19,900? Now, if I'm lying, I'm dying. $19,900. Sell it at Will Finance. Okay, I need to stop. I need to stop. So, where were we going with this? So I said, I'm not a very handy man. Okay. So I am not,
Stevie Hill, your handyman.
Yeah, well, but I don't know about structural engineering. I wouldn't last 2 seconds. If I worked for the Army Corps of Engineers, maybe I would get them coffee. I wouldn't know anything about it.
Tell jokes.
But what is the problem with Ballagamingo Road? What is the problem with this mudslide? Why does it seem that nobody has been able to figure out how to build a proper retaining wall? Because do we just need to permanently say, all right, it's been fun, Ballagamingo Road. After 200 years, it's curtains. What is the problem here? Because the mudslide is caved in again. Now, it was closed for, a month? Just ago? And then this last storm we had, mud place.
Was anybody hurt?
Nobody hurt. But nobody was hurt. This was during the storm. Like I said, George, what would you? I don't know. The athletics moving out of the suburban one. Remember we talked about this?
I remember that.
And they've moved to the Pioneer.
Yep, pack.
And what was the one thing that I said at the time? Boy, I know it won't, but I wish this move would lead to the resurrection of what?
Like the Thanksgiving Day.
Of the Thanksgiving Day game.
Game against Norristown.
It's happened. Can you believe this?
Oh, wow.
They watch the show too.
Very cool.
So
this year?
they're starting this year.
That's great.
There will once again be Upper Marion Norristown football. First time in 25 years.
Wow.
How about that? So not even against PW, because the last few years, as the thing started fading out, they tried to manufacture a rivalry with Plymouth Whitemarsh, and it didn't really amount to anything. So, going back to Norristown, I don't remember. I wasn't sure whether the first game's going to be here or there, but we'll be there.
We'll cover it.
We'll be there. So, at least I think. You want to work on Thanksgiving, Abe?
I'd rather eat turkey on Thanksgiving.
Well, what if I bought you a turkey sandwich?
I may think about it.
Okay, all right. A turkey sandwich is still turkey.
True.
You know, now I'm not saying I'm taking out the manellas and nice fancy schmancy.
Quebec fin.
Yeah.
Where are you taking them?
Same.
I was just going to pack some sandwiches in tinfoil and bring them with me to the game.
Wow.
Or is it like an Eagles game where you're not allowed to bring outside food into the stadium?
And
Is that the deal at Roosevelt Field? You can't bring that in there. No, you can't bring beer into the high school stadium. So,
What about hard liquor?
well, that might be all right. I
about
don't know.
strippers?
I don't know.
That's
not,
cool, too.
That's not.
Yeah.
That will assist the the cheerleaders. That will help you. They can,
No.
Yeah.
So
You know.
so that's the deal. So that's back. That's back, and
That's awesome.
That's
That
kind of
is great
exciting. So
news.
that's something we'll be covering as far as we know, in the future there. So that's good. Also sad to note. I mean he was in his 80s, I believe, but Coach Murphy passed away, longtime Upper Marion football coach. And teacher at Upper Marion. Mr. Murphy
Was he the
died,
head coach?
yeah, for the last time Upper Marion won a football championship in I guess in the early 70s. So sad to note that. Didn't want to have the show go by without marking that sad note there, but that's a nice little tie-in to the, and I mean, certainly Frank Murphy coached a lot of those Thanksgiving games with Norristown. So there's not enough time for me to get into the next rant that I want to get into. So I'll tease it by saying when we come back after the break, and it's a break during which you may, if you're watching live, just see some, I don't know, silence. Silence is golden. Silence is very underrated.
We'll give a little tease.
Anyone who has, not yet, no. Anyone who has young children knows that silence can be a beautiful thing.
Silence is golden.
So you may just have some silence for the time being. If you're watching on tape, then forget it. But when we come back, I'm going to talk about the seeming need that I teased this on the Facebook thing. The seeming need to celebrate every little thing. You know, I hate to be the negative person in the room. Oh, what the heck, you know I love it. Not everything in life is worth celebrating. Did you know that? There are things in life just happen. So I don't understand why it seems that we now need to celebrate every single I-beam that is being placed up at the mall or the community center, or every spade of dirt that has been moved to make this nature trail down by Hoyser Park, where it seems like now, it's not enough now to have a ribbon cutting, or it's not enough to have a you gotta have the groundbreaking ceremony, right? And then it's the first I-beam has been hoisted into place. Let's do another celebration. Have all the local politicos standing out there in their suits and ties with all the things. Well, I know why, but go ahead. I want to hear this. Go ahead.
In our society, George, in our culture, everything is defined by moments of people's lives and in corporations, and our culture thrives on that.
But see, the thing is, I understand what you're saying, Tony, but I disagree in that normal people don't care about this stuff.
I agree.
Normal people don't care.
But people are desperate, and people want they want an audience. They want.
How many times have I seen some silly ceremony about this footbridge, this multi-million-dollar footbridge that's being built over the Schuylkill, or the path.
Okay.
So that's the deal. We have the groundbreaking ceremony. All the local supervisors and county commissioners and state representatives, everyone's coming out and taking photographs. And then, so now the latest is the Plaza and Court. The mall puts out a statement saying, the Plaza and Court, which they have not called themselves for years, they've called themselves the mall. I still call it the Plaza and the Court. The Plaza and Court are no more. The Plaza and Court are now one. Because the final beam has been hoisted. Now, remember, they had the groundbreaking ceremony, and then all the politicians were out there with their hard hats, yet wearing a suit and tie and taking pictures. So that they did it again. because now the final beam over Mall Boulevard has been put into place. So now, with that final beam, the two beams, I guess, the final beam, the plaza and the court are now
united.
One building. Now, it's not going to be open for another year, so you know there's going to be another ceremony for the ribbon cutting. There probably will be. Well, yeah. The carpeting has been put in. Well, I guess the malls don't have carpeting anymore. What do they have? The final piece of simulated marble tile has been put in.
The skylight.
The final skylight has been. The final enclosure has been. So no more will rain fall on shoppers. Let's have another press conference and let's get everyone out there.
They're looking for everything.
All the township people will be out there, and the supervisors and the state representative and the state senator and the KOP bid people and everybody else will be out there. One by one, everyone's coming out there, and maybe you'll have the Times Herald will show up, and what's his name? The guy who writes about every new business that opens and does a free infomercial for the Times Herald. He'll write something over there, and everything will be just great. It'll be wonderful. It'll be a big party. So, see, and this is why, Abe. See, this is why. A few weeks ago, remember when I went on my miniature rant a few weeks ago about
Which one was that?
the moderate-sized one that I said, I need to make a decision. Now, am I broadcast executive running the channel, or am I host, commentator? Because you can't be both anymore. You see, how am I, Tony, supposed to get out there and wine and dine with these people if I'm saying the things I'm saying? It's incompatible. So, starting next week, Tony is taking over the show.
Wow.
Tony is taking over
God.
the show.
That's scary.
And Tony
That's really
is
scary.
going to give you his thoughts
Oh, man.
on all these matters. Yeah, you can do this now, though, but I do
FCC,
hear
get ready.
I do hear what Tony is saying, though. And that's a large. I mean, that's what it is. So, and you go on the Facebook social network, and they're eating this stuff up with a spoon. This handful of people, but it's the same handful of people. But the masses,
They can't get enough of it.
the masses don't care about this. My goodness. So anyway, so some of these are important. Like, for example, Tony, when CHOP opened up its facility,
Yes.
when we were
That was
to me,
important.
that's important.
Yes.
And people do care about that. I mean, everyone in town was thrilled about that, and that was important. People do care about that. But how many people really care that the final beam has been put into place to connect the plaza and the court? Hold another press
Nobody
conference.
cares.
I think we need to start holding press conferences here.
I agree.
Abe got a new lens for the camera. This is the final piece of the puzzle to make this channel successful.
Let's get a press release on that. Let's get a celebration.
Tony is going to paint the set blue. This is what's going to make this channel successful. Let's hold a press conference. Let's invite all the local politicians out here, stand, do a photo op with Tony. You know? Actually, we may do that. What we may do also right now, what we definitely are going to do, is take a short break. But when we come back, that much promised break, when we come back from it, we're going to be talking about something that I think Tony will have. Tony will be very animated. I want to make sure Tony behaves himself. But we're going to be talking about beer.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be
Cool.
talking
Women?
about, well, we're going to be talking about beer. And we're going to be talking about, well, women consume beer, so I guess that's fine. We may even have a visual aid that Tony has on his device over here. An unflattering photograph of me. And we'll talk about a few other things too, depending on how the beer conversation goes. We'll see how that goes. And then we'll be talking about, we'll just see. We'll take a short break. It is King of Prussia Live on the King of Prussia channel. It's Koptv. George and Tony on a Thursday night. Right back in about 2.5 minutes. Stay with us if you know what's best for you. Yeah. Back on the King of Prussia channel, Koptv. We do it every Thursday night, King of Prussia Live. George and Tony and Abe's back there. And, you know, I'm looking at Abe's camera, for one thing, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're host. And I noticed, and there's a reason I'm bringing this up. Abe, I noticed that you have activated the red tally light, the indicator light that indicates that, you know, camera 1 is live right now. And I don't remember that. Has that always been there and I just never realized it?
Probably put it on for the last job and forgot to turn it on.
Oh, okay. Because this way I know which
camera look at?
camera we're looking to, right? But there are multiple. We only need one camera for the show because it's really just, you know, two imbeciles. So, but if you needed something, you out there, not you, Abe, but you, the people watching this. Oh, I'm sorry. You needed something shot in a video sense, of course. Let's say you're having
A bar mitzvah.
a wedding,
A wedding.
bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, promenade. What else? What else do people?
Graduation.
A graduation. A
Birthday party.
A birthday party. A
Divorce party.
A divorce party. Those are really. Those are becoming very popular now. You know. That's right, Steve. Yes.
Yeah, customer right
If you're
here.
having, there you go. If you're celebrating the final beam connecting the plaza and the court, and you need a professional, you know, because look, when you're having something as important as the final beam connecting the plaza and the court, you're having all the so-and-sos are out there, right? You don't want Uncle Buddy to tape it with his camcorder.
Shaky iPhone.
Do they make camcorders anymore? You don't see those anymore. Okay, okay. You don't want him taking his phone, and you know, Uncle Ricky's got his phone, and he's like, "All right, go ahead, hoist that beam. I got you. Oh shoot, can you do it again?" No, you don't want that. So you want it done professionally. You want a professional record of the divorce party, of the birthday party, of the bar mitzvah, of the I-beam, whatever. And all you need to do is you pick up the phone, whether it's a real phone with a dial, a real phone, or you've got one of these or whatever, and you call 337-0871. That's the number for Astera Video Productions. And Astera is owned and operated by a very successful local businessman who has been in town for a very long time, and his name's Anthony, and he shoots, he edits, he tells stories.
He drinks.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Tony, you have been at the helm of this company for nearly a quarter of a century. I'm trying to build this up, make this sound really exciting here. But it rings true, because you have, in your years of experience, had the opportunity to see through a lens some amazing events over the years.
Oh, yeah.
You have been at some. Abe is laughing. He thinks this is a joke. Abe thinks this is a comedy show. I'm trying to do a serious spot for our most important advertiser, and Abe is back there making a joke of the whole thing.
He knows the truth, so.
He knows the truth. He knows the truth that Tony is skilled. He is a college graduate of the of the radio, television, and film department.
RTF.
RTF at Temple University, and he was one of the original founders of the organization that became Astera Video Productions here in King of Prussia, right here. That's where we're right here at Broadcast Park in Uptown King of Prussia, near 202 in Henderson. That's the studios of Astera Video Productions. And if you've got some film work, he might either do it or tell you who can, like Abe. So there you go. 337-610. Got to give the area code these days now. 610 337-0871. If you have that old stack
And
of,
I'll pick up the phone when you call.
you've got that stack of of VHS video cassettes. And let's say you're not like me. You don't have a VHS machine in every room. I'm the only one who has that anymore, right? Everyone else has DVD, the newest in video technology, and he can take the. Abe's laughing again. What did I do? What did I
It's
say?
so new, that technology.
Well,
It's been around for a while.
Well, it's new. It's newer than the VHS.
True.
I mean, I still have the top loading unit in the bedroom. You pull the crank, the tray violently shoots up, and you slide the tape in, and you gotta.
You do have a rotary phone at home, don't you?
Of course I do.
Think of that.
I'm not paying for touch tone. So he takes the stack of half-inch I'm sorry, VHS tapes, and we'll get too industry specific here, and he'll convert them to a DVD. He can even put them on the internet for you.
YouTube for
so
you.
you can watch it on your internet, and he can do it all. So 337-0871, call him. You can call him right now. Interrupt the show. Call right now.
Exactly.
And Tony will talk with you about whatever your video project is. It is Astera Video Productions, Uptown King of Prussia, near 202 in Henderson. 337-0871 for Astera. Now,
Oh wow, we got oh my God, look at this, man.
I
Wow.
know what's going on here. I see what's happening right here.
Astera Video may help you.
This is George. Why do you do this?
Sure. I'll transfer your videos to DVD for you. Are you watching our show right now?
No, I
Yes,
don't watch
yes,
it.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for calling.
George, it's like I don't blame him. I blame myself.
This is like the Ernie Kovac.
I
show
blame
40,
myself.
50 years ago,
It's like I said, when I was much younger, I used to call the early days of Channel 12 when they would do their begathons, and they would have everyone sitting up there with the phones ringing, and I would just dial the number just to hear the phone ring, and when they'd answer, I said, I just wanted to hear the phone ring, goodbye, and hang up. Just keep doing that over and over again. So
The phones work.
I guess the phones work. Hey,
That's good.
it's about time, right?
stuff.
Okay. So what did I say? I said I wanted to talk about beer.
And
Right.
women.
No. I said we were going to talk about beer, and 42% of all beer is consumed by women in the U.S. Did you know that? Did you know?
wow.
Did you know it was that high? Did you know I just made that stat up?
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the idea of walking into Wawa and getting a six-pack of beer?
I think it's great. I think it's an awesome idea. It's a great.
How do you feel, Abe, about walking into Wawa and getting 2 six-packs of beer?
It's convenient.
Okay.
Yep. It's great revenue for the state.
Do you realize that for anyone who may be watching in Florida or Virginia,
Maryland.
no, not Maryland, but Florida and Virginia, both have been buying their beer at Wawa for some time now. Now, I don't know why not in Maryland yet, because in Maryland it's very commonplace. 7-Elevens, I know you can go into a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was just a corporate decision not to do that. But they're finally going to be, in all likelihood, the first Pennsylvania Wawa to serve beer. May be not too far from here in Delaware County, down by the Delaware state line, the Concordville one on 202, and I guess that's, 491? Neiman's Creek Road. I think it's 491. And that is one of those super Wawas. And I was reading the story, and I said, it's funny because I have a photograph on my phone that was taken at that Wawa, and Tony has just been dying to bring this up because, now this was taken a long time ago. Like, this was taken like years and years ago because, I don't, look at that. That's a very unflattering photograph. Very unflattering photograph, isn't that? But that was
last year.
No, it could not have been last year. I was not smoking cigarettes last year. That could not have been last year. That could not have been last year. Look how thin I am. There's no way that was last year. See, that's what happens though. When you stop smoking the cigarettes, suddenly you start ballooning up into the size that you see before you, unfortunately, today. Look how thin I was back then, though. But Abe, you're missing the best part of the picture, though. You're missing the irony in the photograph. Actually, the photograph is cut off, but it said no loitering, and that appears to be what I'm doing in the photograph. So I had Steve take that picture because I thought it would make a perfect album cover if I ever became a rock star. I said that just looks like a great album cover to have me just leaning back, loitering, smoking a cigarette under the no loitering sign. But you know, so that is at least 2 years ago, because that's how long it's been since I did that sort of thing. But that is, and I know you wouldn't know it just from looking at that awful picture, but that is the same Wawa. That is the Concordville Wawa. That was.
Oh wow.
That was that would be serving beer, and there I would be with the smoke to go with the beer. Of course, you wouldn't be able to smoke in the place anymore. But here's what they're talking about doing, though, Tony. And this is why I bring this up, because I guess to fall into line with the LCB law, they would have to put up, it was from reading the article, they would have to put up and I don't understand this, a 4-foot tall wall. So not a wall that goes up to the ceiling. So a wall that's going to go up to, I guess, about my torso or your head. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean that in a derogatory. See, I'm sorry. I did not see. Now, people watching are going to think that I'm picking on Tony. That is not at all.
It was just factual.
It was just, thank you, Steve. That's exactly. It was a point of reference, is what that was. You're picking on Tony again. He's like your stooge. I said, no.
It's entertainment. We're here to entertain.
Okay, if you say so.
It's
so you say.
entertainment.
Okay. So, but they would have to put up this wall.
Prevent minors from seeing it?
Well, but that's the thing, but I don't understand. What are we preventing? Are we trying to tell people under 21 there really is no beer here? You know, there's no.
It's like the old,
I don't know.
Video rental stores back in the day where they had the
adult section.
The adult section. Yeah, they
Yeah.
kind of like reminds me of that.
Everybody under 21, under 4 foot tall.
Well, and that's no, I don't know, and there might be more to it that I'm not realizing. But I was reading that. Okay, so that part of the proposal to the township was we're going to put up a 4-foot tall wall, and here's the other thing I found interesting. No one would be able to work there would be a separate register. So if the Wawas did this would be, and you look, Wawa doesn't do anything that doesn't make sense, okay, unless they have to. So Wawa would never make a major business move without testing it to the nth degree. If you know Wawa is making the proposal, they have studied it 10 times over, and they know that this is the
it's going to work.
Successful, exactly. This is how it's going to go. So, so if they're doing this or proposing to do this down in Concordville, you know the plan ultimately will be to start cranking these out all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Just like whenever they, remember the first time like a gas station? Why would you put a gas pump at Wawa? Right? Wawa's a dairy. Why would you, or if you want to go back to 1964, why would you make a convenience store out of a dairy? No one will ever go for that. You can't sell candy bars at a dairy. Well, So the next progression, I guess, is the beer. But it doesn't end there, because now they're talking about you would have a separate section of the Wawa where you would sell the beer, and 35 chairs at tables where you could legally drink the beer.
Like a bar almost.
But not a bar. Because there's not going to be a bar with a bartender. What will it be, Tony?
It's a hangout.
The usual? No, it's not going to be like that.
But you could hang in.
But you could hang out and loiter, just like I was doing, and that's why that photograph is so important to tonight's show.
So ironic.
Never drink beer at Wawa.
Are you kidding me?
I disagree.
It's a
huge learning place.
He's being facetious, yes. Because all these
high school
older
kids are going to be
inside-
going there and going to be,
Well, but you wouldn't be allowed in this area unless you were 21. Now, here's the other thing that I found interesting. Wawa is saying that they're agreeing that anyone who works the register will have to be 18 or older, not 21, but 18 or older. So if you're 17, you won't be able to work the beer register. If you're 17, you can sell the cigarettes, which you have to be 18 to buy and smoke. Okay, so and you can sell the candy bar and the shorties and the coffee and all that. But then when you turn 18, you can go over to the beer section and sell the beer. However, if you're 18, you're 19, you're 20, you can sell the beer. You can't what, Tony?
Buy condoms?
Drink it. Partake. Imbibe.
That is incorrect. You won't be able to stock, Tony, stock the beer.
Got it. Like buy like 3 or 4 6-packs.
No. If you're a Wawa employee and you're 20 years old, you will not be allowed to take the cases, slice the tape down the case, open the case, take the 4 6-packs out, and put the 6-packs in the refrigerator. But you can sell it.
That's bizarre.
Well, you know, everything about Pennsylvania liquor laws is kind of bizarre.
Like Max says,
So,
PA is a bad state.
Well, I don't know if I'd go quite that far. It is very.
Well, it is when it comes to
When
alcohol
it comes
and,
to things like that,
and cigarettes. And,
we are very.
well, like old school. I mean, we're doing stuff 200 years ago.
Well, we're
not
doing,
progressive.
We're doing what? Well, I didn't know if I'd use that word, but we're doing what Utah does. Nothing against Utah. I'm just saying it's my understanding there's 2 states with a complete state-run liquor system. It's Pennsylvania and Utah, I believe. So, one by one, these things are changing, but it's a very slow. Now here's what I. Because now this week the state legislature has, I guess, submitted for a guaranteed veto a liquor privatization bill. Now, what I don't understand, and I maybe this needs to be explained to me, is why, I'm sure there's some sinister political reason for this, but why the GOP legislature did not do this properly, effectively, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, when there was a Republican governor who was sympathetic toward the cause and would have signed off on it. They bickered and couldn't get their stuff together, and then there were union considerations and all these problems. They weren't able to get it done, and now that you know it's absolutely going to be vetoed, now look at us, we've got liquor privatization when you know it's not going to go anywhere. So these things, I guess they take time, but they're not likely to happen. In the case of what I think Tony is looking for, it's not going to happen in the next 3 years, or 3.5 years, or possibly 8 years if the current governor is reelected. So,
or in a lifetime,
or depending on how long you think that'll be, maybe. Now, see, Tony. Here's the thing about Tony. Tony's one of these guys. Tony's going to live to be 105, right? And Tony does all these dangerous. Now, to be fair, Tony takes excellent physical care of himself. Okay, Tony eats well. He works out all the time. What else, Tony? You
hangs out in the best parts of town.
You lift.
that's right.
What Steve just said, though, actually is where I was going with this. But Tony does a lot of
extracurricular.
Dare I say, risky behavior. And by that, I don't mean anything prurient. I am talking about
snowboarding,
skiing,
kayaking, mountain biking, bungee
mountain
jumping,
biking,
Dating.
bungee jumping, dating, not dating, but not anymore, because now he had
a married man.
He's married to Trina, and who, when she eventually is on U.S. soil, you're promising will be a guest on this program eventually.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But Tony does all the things. For example, if you go skydiving on a regular basis, when you go to re-up your life insurance, it says on there, do you skydive 6 or more times a year? And Tony, of course, says, oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And signs off on it, And then they raise his rates, $8 a month.
Insurance?
Yes.
Why?
It's a good investment.
Well, it's really more like death insurance if you think about it, right? It's a good investment for the other people,
you can
right?
use it as an investment.
Well, no. If you've got what you're saying, if it's whole life and you want to get, tonight's edition of Managing Your Money. It'll be
by George Brewstar.
It'll be, oh no, you don't want that. It'll be Tony Selig. It'll be unlicensed financial advisor Tony Selig.
Whatever George says, do the opposite.
Do the
you'll make
exact
money.
opposite.
You'll make
and
money.
You're almost guaranteed to do at least relatively well. Yes, I'm the one who told you to invest in new Coke back in 1985.
The DeLorean didn't work out either.
Speaking of 1985, that's right before the show.
Yep.
What a nice segue. It's almost like I'm a real host. Dovetailing all the time. 1985. This weekend marks the 30th anniversary of the opening
Back to the
of
Future.
Back to the Future.
Great movie.
Greatest film of all time. I
Great,
know some
great.
will say it's
Love it.
Citizen
I love that.
Kane
Great
or
movie.
Gone with the Wind
I agree with you.
or whatever.
Great movie.
No, it is not. It is Back to the Future, 1985. Greatest film of all time. And I'm going to tell you why in a nutshell, because there was nothing so cinematically well, Abe, I mean, you're a, how do I put this? I'm trying to see, I don't want to put this in the same way that it appeared I was mocking Tony by saying
He's a film buff.
is not allowed to ride the scrambler at a festival because he's not tall enough to, I'm sorry. Abe, you are a
Film buff.
film buff, right? Okay. You are a
Film critique.
okay. So how would you rate Back to the Future? I don't mean how good of a movie it was, but in terms of cinematic importance in the 100 or so years of American cinema, how would you rate where would Back to the Future go on that
I
scale?
don't think you could put it in the same realm as Citizen Kane.
I disagree.
It's
See, that's where I
not a
disagree.
piece of art. I don't
See,
consider
I
it a piece of art. It's a
disagree.
very well done commercial piece, though. That's the way I see it.
See, now when you say commercial, are you saying that in a derogatory
Not
way?
at
Are
all.
you, okay.
It made money.
Well, definitely made
And-
money.
and,
Yes, yes.
It on various levels, whether it was the direction, screenplay, casting, it clicked.
How would you say in 100 words or less? What would make, as if I could say anything in 100 words or less, what makes Citizen Kane a better film than Back to the Future?
It's originality. There's just nothing else like it up until that point.
Would you say that there were unoriginal aspects of Back to the Future?
Unoriginal aspects of
Yes.
the future? Sure, to some extent. There were some.
I've got your permit right here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to turn his argument around, saying that
There's been films in the past that took a character either back or forward in
back
time.
in time. Okay.
Sure.
There had been one not long before, right, with Christopher Reeve, right? Wasn't he in a film
Yeah.
somewhere in time?
James Seymour
Was that? Was it? I believe it was with
Yeah.
James.
What was the
Yeah.
successful
Somewhere in
sequel
time.
to
Mackinac Island?
film?
They filmed that out.
I'm sorry. To which film, Steve?
What was the name of the sequel to Citizen Kane?
Citizen Kane Part 2. Citizen Kane Part 2, where they travel in time up to 1971.
Rosebud.
They used Rosebud to travel at 88.
Okay, are you overall an Orson Welles fan?
I like his work,
Overall,
especially
okay.
the early work.
The early work, okay.
But it's hard to compare, Citizen Kane and Back to the Future.
Okay, so
they're
what-
not apples and oranges.
Okay, what would you compare? Would you compare Back to the Future with Jaws? Would that be a more comparable?
In the sense that they're both very well done commercial pieces of film.
Okay, because I believe, and you guys are the film. I don't, I've only been to a movie 6 times in my life, but Jaws was exactly 10 years before Back to the Future, right? It was the summer of '75, if I. Okay, so what could we compare Back to the Future with?
Pulp Fiction.
See, I don't get that at all. I don't see that. I would sooner compare it to Jaws than I would with anything with it. What do you think?
I mean, in its overall impact, it was a very successful film as far as going and being entertained at the movies.
I thought Back to the Future had something for everybody. It had some action and adventure, neither of which I like. I don't like action. I don't like adventure. It had some drama. I don't like that.
Good
it
messages
had
to it?
science fiction elements. I'm not a sci-fi fan. And of course it had comedy. That's really the only thing I like. But it had, what else did it have we were talking about before the show, Abe? What else did Back to the Future have?
I'm not sure where
That has aged very well in 30 years.
Christopher Lloyd.
It's true. That's true. We did say that. We did say that before the show. Christopher Lloyd still looks good, and Abe pointed out, well, you only think he still looks good because he never looked good. So he still looks the same, and when someone looks the same after 30 years, you automatically think the person looks good. I was talking about Leah Thompson.
And here's
but
our
he
segment
was
into
talking
women,
about.
which he wants to bring up.
Well, because Tony wanted to talk about women in beer and so
There we
forth,
go.
and I had made the comment because I saw the photograph of Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson. I said, she still looks good. How is this possible? I said, well, I guess that's not out of the ordinary. She's still, probably only, 52, 54, something like that. So.
She didn't look good when they aged her for the sequels, though.
No, that is correct. But see, that's interesting, though, that you point this out, Steve says. Very good point, very good point. And this is why the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future is so important, and more important than the 20th or the 25th or the 10th, because in the movie, the movie's predicated on 30-year time shifts.
Yep.
Originally 1985 going back 30 years, 1985 going ahead 30 years to 2015 at the present point in time. So that's why this is so important. That's why you're hearing so much about Back to the Future right now. If you were to take Leah Thompson, the way they made her up in 1985, was really 89, but in Back to the Future Part 2, the way that she was to have looked in 2015, in real life, she looks much better in the real 2015 than in the fake
That's
2015. So I'm wondering, am I going to look as good in the
Get out of the
real,
gym.
in the real 2045?
You're gonna look the same.
I don't
Or
know.
you may look
What does a
like
corpse
Thompson.
look like? I don't know. Or you could say, what would the fake 2045? So, since Abe has been talking about getting a makeup staff here, Tony and I, next week, are going to be aging ourselves 30 more years. And we'll see
Some
how that
Photoshop
goes.
work done.
And you can't do that with live video.
Not with live.
I mean, unless you're industrial light and magic, you can't. I don't think you can do that with CGI, right? Do we have that here? Do we have CGI effects here? Is that?
Live? I don't think so.
Oh, heck, on tape, whatever. On tape.
Well, ask him. He's
We do in
the
post.
editing here.
Dude,
We can do it in post.
Post-production.
Costs a lot of money.
We can't even get credits on the show yet, but we're going to have.
Lucky if we have time code.
Yes. There's not much more. We've run over time, and that's never a good thing, because I'm a big believer in leave them wanting more. Around here, we leave you wanting less. So I think we should just say Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
I don't
Let
know
the fireworks
why.
off.
I don't know why people say have a safe. Have you noticed this? This is the new thing now. People are saying, have a safe 4th. Have a safe holiday. Have you noticed people are saying this the last few years? I don't understand why they say that.
Because they used to say, hold the firework nice and tight in your hand. And
Yeah.
then look how it was. So.
They probably say it because people like Tony say things like, light off lots of fireworks on the 4th of July.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're going crazy.
So because of people like Tony, others have to
ruined
now resort to saying, have a safe holiday.
Balances it out.
And you notice that now we've become so and I know, Abe, we talked about this at
And politically correct.
Christmas time or holiday time, to get into what I was about to say. Remember, we talked about this at Hanukkah time. We talked about this, remember? We said that people have become so paranoid in the last 10 years, over wishing someone a Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah, that now they are saying, have a good holiday for every holiday. Have you noticed this? So at Thanksgiving, people are saying, have a good holiday. I said, no. You can wish me a happy Thanksgiving. What else could this possibly be? And now they're saying it for the 4th of July. I've already had a dozen people say, have a good holiday. I said, what other holiday could this be? What else could it be? I know I'm not the first to point. I remember Irv Homer went on a big rant about this 20 years ago, and it was still true back then. It's even more true now. What other holiday could this be?
The anniversary of Kennedy's assassination? Nah, I don't think so. You don't want to celebrate.
Well, that's in November. You wouldn't be
Oh, you're
celebrating
talking about
that.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's true, yes. Oh, okay, all right, well then that must be what it is
That's
then.
it. That's it.
See, that's why they say, because
So-
then you don't have to remember what holiday it is, like you just forgot.
No. I think, so I'm not going to say have a safe anything.
Have a dangerous holiday.
Well, Tony, you can say that.
You light the fireworks off, you know.
Tony,
Like breaking a leg.
Tony's
Yeah, break a leg, you know,
views
live on the edge.
are his own. He does not represent the views of
Management.
management, of which he is.
Management doesn't represent.
Right. Management doesn't represent the views of management.
I represent myself.
Right. Tony doesn't. Tony would represent himself in a court of law. We almost saw it once.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, 20 years ago. Yep.
Best part is when he cross-examines himself. He's running back and forth from the witness box. You know? Oh, just say it in your own words, and he runs back and he's like, okay. Yeah, all right. Well, that's a show. There's a show right
That's a
there.
wrap.
That's a show. Really, that's a show.
Time to eat now.
Have a safe holiday. No, have a good 4th of July. The 200 and what are we at now? 239th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence's supposed signing. There's some who believe it happened. Reading, because there's some say it was actually signed by the majority of them on the 2nd of July. Or no, on the 4th. No, after the 4th. After the 4th. It took longer.
Yeah, the first public reading was the 4th.
Right, because there had been a draft on the 2nd, and then that was not the one that was ultimately. I don't know my history. So there you go. But enjoy. We'll see you perhaps Saturday night at the Upper Merion thing if they let us in, and we'll see fireworks. None of which will be set off by Tony, and it'll be a good time. If you're lucky, you'll see me on the Tilt-A-Whirl. That's about as exciting as it gets. I don't do roller coasters. I do the Tilt-A-Whirl. I do the bumper cars, and I do the Scrambler. And that's about it. So,
and you eat food?
Not much, but a little bit. So that's a show. There's a show right there. Happy 4th. We'll see you 1 week from tonight when it'll be another date. Yeah.